those in our industry that I aspire to be like, or I look up to these folks. They, one of the keys to success in their business is relationships. 100%.
Yeah.
You could have all the work in the world. If you have no one to produce it because you're a jerk, or you're just not, you don't pay on time, or whatever the case may, be, you can't get it done. My framer, a month ago, I was at a job. It's like 1,000 square foot in-law suite addition that we're building in North Wales. So I just popped in. I was on a sales call like nearby, dropped in, see how the job's going. My framer's there, and he's walking around checking up on the work. And he comes up to me and goes, Nick, I just gotta say thank you. All right, what's up, Chris?
Yeah.
I've never been paid faster than I've been paid, by you guys. He said, I get an invoice in. He's like, by the end of the week, I got a check already, and that's great because I don't have to leverage out money to pay my guys. And you have any more work coming up?
And over the years, I've learned that if you pay people quickly and appreciate them through paying them quickly, like that is the number one thing, because it's not just the money. It's like they trust you more. We're just going to start the show because we're not going to waste any time here. We've got a guest, Nick, from LBK Design Build. They've been building a new office/showroom right around the corner from our office. So we've been driving past you guys for a little while now. And then I believe Allison, who nobody knew was here until I, called you out behind the camera, set up this whole podcast with us. And when you emailed me, I was kind of just like, it was literally, I checked it as I was like pulling into the parking lot here, and I had just driven past, and I was like, I felt like I was going to get to see inside Willy Wonka's factory, if that makes any sense, because I've been driving past it for so long. You guys have been working so hard on that building that it was cool that like everything got connected. So welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Have you ever done a podcast before?
I have.
Oh, okay. Damn. Now I'm jealous. I wish we were your first.
It was virtual though.
Oh, all right.
So it wasn't in person like this.
Okay, so you did a Zoom call.
Yes.
Yeah, we've never done a virtual one. It just seems we like the more personal approach. It's like we like actually like sitting down and talking.
Agreed. Same here.
No problems with the Zoom Podcast Nation. How long ago did you guys purchase that building down there?
I bought that building about 1.5 years ago.
Okay. So you've been,
but I've been looking at it for about 5 years.
Yeah, because it was for sale for a while, right?
Like about 6 or 7 years.
Yeah, and what was it before that? It was like a carpet place or something or it was like an antique shop, maybe. I vaguely remember it being like an Oriental carpet and rug store, or maybe something like that. I don't think
it was that. It was the one segment of it was a chiropractic practice. Okay. The other part, the main building, has been vacant for like 10 plus years. And the last tenant that was there was an engineering firm, of all things, which is kind of funny to me because when we started doing the renovations and demolition, we uncovered like load-bearing beams that were unsupported. Like they were like, let's get rid of these interior walls that are holding up the whole building and cover it up with drop ceiling.
Yeah, I guess maybe they're not in business anymore because of...
They moved.
Okay. We won't call them out then.
No. I don't think they necessarily did that.
Probably not.
But that building is late 1800s.
Yeah, it's a really, really cool building, and it's in a very, very high, it's a high traffic area.
It's a really high traffic area.
And you guys did a great job with like the side facade of the building, like putting your branding on the side of there. So you're almost like there's nothing else to look at besides that building when you're driving like that short segment of road there. So was that intentional or is it just a convenient place? Like why was that building where you chose? In
our industry, it's really tough to find a space that really suits our needs because we need, and you're in the building industry, so you can relate. You need professional offices. You need an area to store materials for deliveries.
Okay.
You have to be able to receive deliveries. And you need, if you really want to be efficient, you need a design center at a minimum or a showroom so you can have clients come in, make selections along the design process before we close out a contract. So that space checked all those boxes for us. And like you said, it's great visibility. I think we moved in April of this year.
You're actually operating out of there right now?
We're operating out of there.
Oh, nice.
So what you're seeing now that's under construction is just the ground floor, and that's only design center. The upper 2 floors are offices.
That's awesome.
So we're fully working out of there, and we've already noticed, like, we've gained so much traction from being there. We've done a couple of Peddlers Village events, like the Apple Fest, and I think what it was, the October Feast.
Yeah.
And we just giving out brand awareness stuff like pop sockets and T-shirts,
the cool stuff.
And then people come up to us and say, hey man, yeah, we've seen you up the road there. It looks great. And we've been getting phone calls from people in Buckingham just to compliment the building, because it's kind of right in that exposed area, and that building's been it's just been hurting for so many years.
Yeah, it's kind of been falling apart slowly over the years. That when I saw somebody, like when the signs came down and like I found out somebody had bought it, I was very like, somebody's got a little project on their plate now. I wonder what's going to go there. And once I saw that it was like a building company, I was like, oh, that makes complete sense, because who else would tackle this?
They needed someone like me to buy it.
Yeah.
When I went to look at it 3 or 4 years ago, it was listed way too high. I told the realtor, hey man, dude, this is going to take at least $500,000 easy.
Yeah.
In Reno. They're like, no way. Well, yeah.
Okay.
We're over budget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are you, like we were talking before the podcast, you live locally, you live in Chalfont. Like, is your business predominant? Where's your areas of focus for your company?
The number one area that we work in is in Doylestown.
Okay.
Especially 18902.
So it's like the northern part of Doylestown, I guess.
The northern, more like rural area is where we tend to work. We also work a lot in Newtown. We've got a lot of things going on in like Wayne Radnor, Bluebell.
Okay, so down closer to like the Villanova main line.
Yeah, we're like
corridor.
We got this like weird divide. We're like all the way on this side of Bucks County or on the other side of Montgomery.
Yeah, that happens a lot. We haven't. How long have you been in business?
We started in 2014.
Okay.
But we started as a different company, and we rebranded in 2020, like during COVID. So the LBK stands for Luxury Bath and Kitchens, and we used to be mainly kitchen and bath focused. With my background being in just general construction and I did commercial, I did residential. I went to a client's house, and we did a kitchen remodel for them. 2 years later, we get a call back. Like, hey, Nick, we need our master bath and guest bath done. I said, great, come on, I'll come on over. Go over there, talk to them a little bit. I said, oh, yeah, between the kitchen and this, we had our basement done. I said, why didn't you call me? So I didn't know you did basements. I'm like, well, of course I do basements.
Yeah, people don't. That's like the complicated thing with like branding yourself in construction.
Yeah.
If you want to target, like, say you label yourself like a luxury home builder. Right. Next thing you know, all the people beneath that luxury, what they perceive as the luxury level, like, just won't call you. Or like if you say, hey, like, we're, the basement guys, like, you're totally capable of putting a kitchen in a basement, but nobody's going to call you to put the kitchen in their kitchen. So it's kind of like, it's interesting that happened, because I always think about that with like construction companies, because you see like the companies that have like, we do roofing, siding, carpentry, kitchens, like you can't do all of those things and be good at it. Right. So usually you see people like yourself like do kitchens and bathrooms, but then those are the most difficult areas of the house to renovate. So if you need something more than that, it's usually like, yeah, sure, no big deal.
Yeah, but it just it kind of like, as a salesman, it kind of like got on me a little bit.
Of course, because your customer went to somebody else for something you guys could do.
And
how'd the basement look though?
It was pretty good.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was another local company. They're pretty popular. I don't know the owner personally. I know a lot of guys in our industry just through NARI and through other networking type groups. But they did a nice job. They did a stand-up job.
Yeah. Are you in like HBA?
No.
Or you're not in you do the NARI events though?
I'm mostly I mostly focus in NARI. And then there's another group I belong to called Remodelers Advantage. That's a nationwide company that you join, and it's about roundtabling. So you get put into groups of 10, and your group is consisted of members that are all either contractors or design build type companies from non-competing markets.
Okay, so you'll be with the guy from like Texas or something like that.
Yeah. So there's in my group I have people from California, Florida, like all over the place.
You get a lot of benefit from networking on that level because
that one's not for networking. That's more for sharing best business practices.
Okay.
And that's probably been one of the most influential moves in my entire career.
Oh, really?
Joining that group, yeah.
Just being exposed to other people's like administrative processes or the actual application and installation of your product.
You know how there's like a cliche of people saying there's levels to this game?
Yeah, there is.
There is levels to our game.
Yeah.
You get to meet and rub shoulders with, people at the very tip top. And in a constructive criticism type of way, they will focus in on what if you're talking to them or asking them for advice, they will focus in on your company and they'll give you what you need to hear.
Yeah.
They're not going to tell you what you want to hear.
But you have to, in order to get to the level that you're at where you're buying historic buildings, renovating them for your office, like you have to be willing and open to that feedback and criticism. I see a lot of my peers are either in one of two boats. It's like, I know what I'm doing and I'm going to stay in this lane. And then there's the other folks such as yourself that know what they're doing is good right now, but there's always that, push for improvement.
Can always be better.
Yeah.
You gotta be open-minded in this industry, I think, if you want to get anywhere.
Yeah. So how has business been for you for the last 2 years then?
Amazing.
Yeah.
The best.
The best 2 years ever.
COVID was a blessing in disguise for us, for sure.
Yeah, because everybody was stuck at home.
Everyone was stuck at home. It kind of gave me a chance to unplug from the daily whirlwind.
Okay.
And it was in that moment where I rebranded our company, and it's been, a game changer for us as well, because we're building really common projects like additions and remodels, but then we're also doing these cool, builds now. Like we're building this car barn in Doylestown. It's like 6,000 square feet, and it's not, calling it a barn is kind of funny because it's kind of fancy. It's got like heated floors, radiant heat. And, really nice.
It's a nice car barn.
It's a nice car barn.
Yeah.
And we're about, I would say, 80% of the way finished.
Okay. And you have pictures. I think I saw stuff of that on your social media.
Yeah, tons of video. Yeah. And stuff on social. Yeah.
That's awesome. What would you say right now, like going into 2023, are you mostly kitchens, mostly bathrooms, or are you just trying to serve like all the customers in a certain demographic? Like what does like a customer of yours look like right now?
Most of our customers tend to be in the higher demographic, higher income range for the most part, but we kind of work a little bit with everyone. I don't think we've had a swing in like a deviation of less small projects, and now we only take on big stuff. It's kind of like a mixed bag. Okay. So we do have regular kitchen remodels going on, regular guest baths going on that are individual projects, but we also have like, can you remodel my whole house or my first floor? So it's a pretty good mixed bag of projects in general.
What is your company like to have such like a diversified portfolio of projects? What kind of team do you keep? Like your in-house staff, what does that look like? Do you have project managers, carpenters, designers all in-house, or do you sub? Like, how's that work at your company?
We used to be more self-performing in the work, so less office and more field heavy, and now we've kind of come the other way. So we have 2 carpenters on staff, and then everyone else is either design or some sort of management.
Okay.
And we're, like everyone else, shorthanded. We're trying to actively fill 2 PM positions. We need someone to do, like, office management as well, and I think a couple other ones.
Listen up, people.
Yeah.
Get a job.
We're trying.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's really hard.
It's not hard if you're on the looking for a job side. But on the like hiring people, you're competing with everyone. And then you're also competing with people that just don't even want to work. Right. I think our industry's really gotten hurt. Like it's been a blessed, like the last 2 years on like the Corona year was really great in terms of sales for us and getting like growing work. But in terms of growing the team, it got more difficult as things got more easy to sell because people
100%.
I was not expecting at this course, like in my career, to have that kind of problems.
It's scary, especially the field stuff, like finding really good. I feel like a lot of carpenters that are good are kind of going into business for themselves as opposed to wanting to work for a company. And I think there's a lot of, I don't want to say blame, but a lot of it I think falls on us as the employers. Because if you think like in the private sector for carpenters, if a guy works as a carpenter for 20, 30 years, if he's at a small company, you know, does he really have a big retirement plan in place by the company? Like what are the benefits in there? It's like, I feel like they kind of look for an hourly wage and then they're happy with that. And they start hitting 40, 45, stuff starts to hurt more.
Yeah, and then
they're like, well, I've been trying to go for project management positions, but it hasn't worked out. So what am I supposed to do now? What am I going to do if I can't get up and get out of bed because my back's aching? And I think carpenters that are good, that can go into business for themselves and succeed at it, probably can do a little bit better. So because of that, we've kind of gone towards the subcontractor model a little bit, and we have better success actually with small subs.
It makes sense because in, like, to play off what you said, like the carpentry business is such a, like, I don't know, I guess it's kind of, it's very, I used to be just carpentry in business for myself. And my thought process was, you know, I'm ready to make the sacrifices and work harder to make sure that my future is better than it would be. Like, no one's going to work harder for me than me.
Right.
So, and then you put together like that attitude with like a little bit of competency, and then you have yourself like probably a relatively successful small carpentry business. And then you have businesses like yours that just can't bridge that gap for someone in like my shoes several years ago, where it was just like you don't want to go work for someplace because then like they're gonna, like, there's just a lot of negative connotation,
and there's a lot of like field versus the office mentality going on. And I feel like working with trade partners, we like to call them trade partners.
It makes sense.
But we feel like they're happier in general. They don't have to go out and sell work. You know, a lot of them don't want to, air quotes, deal with clients. And that's an area that we excel in. So if we could just hand them off almost like a job ticket, like, here you go, here's the project. You know, sometimes they bid the number. If we've been working with them for a while, they don't even bother. We estimate it in there for them at times and kind of let them know where the budget's got to be at. And they work with us. They take the job on, they get it done, and they move on to the next thing, and they're usually pretty happy.
Well, it makes a lot of sense too, because you can't be good when you're a small business and you're a carpenter. Like, your first job is that you have to be good at carpentry,
right?
And then you have to be good at, you know, running your business, hopefully, and making money and making profitable. And then you have to be good at selling your business, and then you have to be good at scaling the business, and then and that's really where, when I talk to a lot of people that and I don't want to use the word struggle, because sometimes they choose to stay at certain levels, as you said. It's really that ability to, you know, see the bigger picture and have a vision, and then connecting those, you know, lily pads that they have to jump across to get to that vision. Whereas a lot of the guys I see kind of just get on one level and they're satisfied there. And sometimes they eventually they get to a place where they like, hey, how do I grow it to the next thing? And they just, you know, they're maybe not good at selling, so they can't get that project that, you know, levels them up, or they're not good at leading, or, you know, putting a team together, so then they can't get enough guys to do that next level project. And
the leadership one's a big one.
The leadership and accountability. Like, you can find a really good carpenter, but if you get into a position where something's wrong and you ask them to fix it and they blow up in your face, like, that guy's never going to be a great leader.
Right.
Like, if he can't own mistakes on what he's doing, he's never going to be able to hold people accountable in like a team setting. So it's kind of, but it's also kind of cool that you were able to build, you call them trade partners, instead of subs. I mean, that's a really nice way of putting a subcontractor, but it feels like you have a more of a relationship with them, which makes a lot of sense, because you can rely on a competent carpenter and they're relying on you. It's really only, it's like the language, or like the IRS paperwork that says they're not a part of your company.
Right.
Like, it's that everybody's got this like me versus you mentality, when in reality, like, it's just, the subcontractor can still be considered a part of your your environment. So
Absolutely.
you don't necessarily like. I think sometimes companies go further the way you're setting it up with like 90% subcontractors and then having like a couple guys in house to like, take care of loose odds and ends, because you're getting the accountability of somebody that like wants to be in business for themselves. You're not. You can get yourself into a bit of a jam if you start hiring a bunch of people that don't want the responsibility.
Those in our industry that I aspire to be like, or I look up to these folks. They, one of the keys to success in their business is relationships. 100%.
Yeah.
You could have all the work in the world. If you have no one to produce it because you're a jerk, or you're just not, you don't pay on time, or whatever the case may, be, you can't get it done.
Yeah, and you see so much of that in this business. It's kind of unfortunate that when people, like when you say you call yourself a builder, people automatically label you, be like, oh, we worked for a builder before. Yeah, right away. So it takes, I think, when you
my framer a month ago, I was at a job. It's like 1,000 square foot in-law suite addition that we're building in North Wales. So I just popped in. I was on a sales call like nearby, dropped in, see how the job's going. My framer's there, and he's walking around checking up on the work. And he comes up to me and goes, Nick, I just gotta say thank you. I'm like, all right, what's up, Chris?
Yeah.
I've never been paid faster than I've been paid, by you guys. He said, I get an invoice in. He's like, by the end of the week, I got a check already, and that's great because I don't have to leverage out money to pay my guys. And you have any more work coming up?
Yeah, and that I always see when I meet people, even like off the podcast or on site or out at different events. Like when I meet other builders at what other level they're at, whether they just do bathrooms or they do just kitchens and baths, or they just do basements. There's always a little bit to learn from all of those people. And over the years, I've learned that if you pay people quickly and appreciate them through paying them quickly, like that is the number one thing, because it's not just the money. It's like they trust you more.
Right.
So then what ends up happening, and when I tell like, especially like friends or family that are hiring builders, I'm like, always look at like their relationships with their subs if you can, because that'll tell the entire story for you. If they constantly have new subcontractors all the time, like you have to ask why.
Yeah, it's not good.
Nobody wants to, like, you're busy selling, growing the business. Like you don't want to be busy finding new subs all the time, because that'll slow your production down. And then the customers don't realize that when you hire a builder, you're really not just hiring like the guys with the cool shirts or like the cool logo. Like you're really hiring their whole network. And what separates good builders from bad builders is their ability to like support their whole network.
Right.
And it's really cool to hear you say that like you take all that stuff seriously, or like you take it, there's intent behind what you're doing and like how you're running it, so you can offer a better product more consistently.
Yeah, and we're pretty upfront with our trade partners. If we're starting to work with a new one, we let them know what our expectations are, and on the other side, we do things like we pay quickly, and we always try to have a good relationship. Try to get them on site before a contract's closed. Have them do site work, site trade walkthroughs. But yeah, it's that relationship is a real key to success in doing remodeling or even just building in general.
How do you like say I'm a trade partner, like say I'm a plumber, how do they get in touch with you, or how do you come across people that you choose to work with typically?
So sometimes it'll be through the project managers.
Okay.
One of the key indicators for a good project manager applying is they have a little network of trade partners that they have already that they can bring on board. Sometimes I get approached in the strangest places. I'll just be wearing like a company shirt, and it happened to me last night. I was at a country club event here in Doylestown, and some dude saw my logo, and he comes up to me. He goes, "Hey, I seen you guys there on the corner there." He goes, "Do you know Gemmy?" I'm like, "Yeah, I know John from Gemmy Construction in this area." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm his plumber. I do all his plumbing." I said, "You got a card?" He said, "I sure do."
Yeah.
And so you never know. You gotta
that subtle name drop.
Yeah.
I do work for a good builder. Would you like to work with
John
us
has
too?
a great reputation.
Yeah, they have a great reputation.
He's a good dude. I don't know if you know John, but he's a really nice guy.
I've met him. I wouldn't really say I know him. I know a lot of people that are involved with that company, and I've only ever heard good things.
Yeah, John's a good dude.
It's really great reputation. And if, you know, I kind of like always like, you know, weigh people's words. Like you can't, if somebody says something negatively about, you know, any business or a builder, you kind of be like, well, what's your deal, or like what caused that? And that's one company I will say I've never heard a single bad thing about. Like you always hear like, you know, like somebody be like, oh, I heard so-and-so, blah, 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 or they had this challenge or different things. Like that company, never a bad thing said.
No, I agreed.
Yeah. So
it's a good dude.
So like how many people do you have right now?
On staff?
You have the 2 carpenters, you have yourself.
Right.
You have the lovely Allison. And then you have designers too?
Yeah, we have 2 designers.
Okay.
My wife's our operations manager. She does our estimating as well. So there's a total of 12. And we have a controller, Beth.
Okay.
That's on board. 12 total.
12 is a good size company.
We need 15 really right now. But we do run a pretty lean operation. I think a lot of technology today, like I don't know if you guys use anything like Builder Trend.
We use Builder Trend.
So we use the other guy, Co-Construct, which is owned by Builder Trend.
Yeah.
I think that platform really allows you to consolidate a lot of the job responsibilities as a project manager.
I met with a builder, I'll say recently, it was probably a little longer ago than I realized when I first started this, but they have a very sizable operation. I would say probably in like the $20 million revenue range.
It's a builder or
a builder?
Okay, builder.
Builder. They do remodels and
where they
build. I would say like the Doylestown market.
Oh, this area.
And they don't use any software.
Oh, really?
I was like, oh, interesting. I'm like, okay.
If they do it successfully, good for them.
Yeah, I mean they're very successful and they have a great reputation. But I was kind of like, when I found out that, I was like, I wouldn't have thought that. I think in this, do you use Builder or you use the other one?
Coco, yeah.
Yeah. Do you does that have a customer facing portal that you guys use?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you guys actually use it?
100%.
Yeah, it works really well for you.
Excellent.
Yeah, because the customers can see things more clearly or quicker, or like what's the benefit to that?
Because it holds everyone accountable on our side and on the client side.
Okay.
As soon as we engage in design or design agreement with a client, we onboard them onto that system, and we're assigning tasks, schedules, meetings, selections. We're all pushing it through Co-Construct. And it just keeps everyone kind of on point. The designers end up holding themselves accountable without them kind of knowing, like they're assigning their own deadlines.
Yeah.
So there's no one in management going behind them and be like, hey, where are we with so-and-so? Like, are we close? Are we done? Are we ready for contracts?
You can kind of see how it's moving along the thing. Yeah.
And then my favorite feature is the job logs, because everyone can see what's going on without being on site. And I think when clients see that they can be away on vacation and then take out their phone
and just see what happens.
Open up the app.
Chris did this.
Yeah, here's bullet points and a few pictures.
Okay, cool.
Excellent.
That you're not getting that text message where it's like, well, what happened at my house this week?
Right.
It's like,
that's right.
Here you go.
Yep.
I have all the nitty gritty.
And like I've never been a big fan of giving out my personal cell phone number.
Yeah.
Because I think the last time I did it was maybe like, I don't know, 7 years ago. And I was getting texts on a Sunday morning about what grout color are we going to use. And I was like,
listen,
no more.
It's like, listen.
But with the messaging feature, because your client essentially gets indoctrinated into that system very early on, and we're using the messaging system, it's the same as a text message.
Yeah.
So now there's no need for it. And then there's no, hey, can you ask so-and-so about that cabinet? Like, no, just ask the question and everybody sees it.
Yeah. And the big part of that I've, found amazingly helpful was all the communication is centralized. Yeah. So you're not going like, sometimes what ends up happening is, we had that conversation. The customer texted me some wild change several weeks ago.
Right.
So now I'm going through my text messages being like, well, like searching. Oh no, maybe it was an email. Like if you do everything in one central location, it's logged.
Yep.
The communication's like, no, I actually got that message like you way later than you said you did, or the accountability on your own team where it's like, hey, like we assign these to-dos or these scope items. Like I noticed you completed them, but you completed them like 2 weeks later than like what we needed it. So it affected the whole schedule. You can track all of that like schedule movement to see like how you started the project and then how it actually happened in the end. And that's probably one of the biggest things that any small business in construction should be kind of like debriefing. It's like, well, where like we got the final payment, next job. Like you should really be stopping and looking at like, okay, we got the final payment, but how did we do? The project ran 2 weeks longer. Well, why? Right. It's like, was it something we did? Was it a material was wrong? Like, how do we prevent that?
Good old job autopsy.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other caviat to using
job autopsy. Yep. I'm going to use that.
Well, that's a common term.
I've never heard that before.
So that's when you're taking your I don't know if you do you have job cost reports?
Yeah.
So you take your job cost reports and you take everything in design and everything in production and you have a meeting, you include all parties and you have a sit down after the job's complete, successful, or maybe you slipped on it, maybe you gripped on the job, and you run through the job and say, what did we do right? What are some weaknesses? What do we need to focus on, not let happen again?
Yeah.
But going back to CoConstruct or Buildertrend or any platform, one of the other byproducts of it is in combination with your company rules and procedures as far as onboarding a client and the platform, those two things in combination also vet out potentially troublesome clients.
Yeah.
Difficult clients. I found that difficult clients tend to be impatient. And when you're like, hey, we have this system of rules and then we use this platform and you have to go through it. And then, well, can you do it like in 3 months? Can you start in 3 months? Well, we have to go through design and get the selections made and we have to agree on the work scope and then we'll sign a contract and then we take a third deposit. Then we order materials. Then we apply for permits. We wait for everything to come in. Usually that's about 6 or 7 months. Then we start construction.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait that long. Okay. Well, best of luck to you. Take care.
Yeah. And I think, it's ultimately your job to explain like why that process yields a better product or experience, because that happens to us too. I think that the first level that we have to like filter stuff out is we have like a survey form on our website.
Right.
So automatically, I don't care how you contact me. If you text me, call me, if I know you, you're filling that form out.
We do the same thing.
Because it literally, I don't know who gave me this idea.
Impatient people will just totally bypass it.
They won't even care. They'll just be like, "No, I talked to so and so." They said, and I'm like, "No, you have to do this because we collect all your information in one go, and then whoever calls you to talk to you knows what they're talking to you about. Nothing is like, well, there's other things that are less helpful, but like it's very not helpful for you hiring a builder when you're just like, I want to talk to you about my remodel.
Right.
It's like, well, what are you remodeling? Like, are you doing your whole house? What's the details? Where do you live? Your address could be so far away from us. I can literally just, instead of wasting your time,
right.
It's not being rude. It's just being like, hey, like you're actually way further outside of our, area of operations that like, I'm not even going to, waste your time continuing this conversation. Like,
dude, if you're a client out there listening and you go talk to a builder and you're like, hey, I want to talk to you about my project, and they entertain the conversation, run.
Yeah.
There's no way, as someone that does building construction, especially right now, like people are like, we're busy. We're busier than we've ever been. I don't have time to even retain that information.
Yeah.
The reason you have to go through our system is so that we retain the information.
It's like the email came on the 17th. Everything. Here's the time.
Yes.
Did anybody reply to this person? Go to the software. Be like, yeah, we spoke with them.
Well, I don't want you never want a client to feel like they're a number. The goal is to make every client feel like they're your only client. It's really hard to do. But if you have the right systems in place and everyone follows the rules, notes get taken down at the right time, they get reviewed, work scopes get done correctly, all the way down the line. And that's super important.
And that's what design build is. There's so many people that call themselves design builders, and then like you meet them or you learn about their process and you're like, wait, it's just build.
Right.
There's no, like, the design process is what, like, it means different things at different companies, but it really, like, the design process is where you flush out 90% or more of the issues,
right,
or obstacles or things. Like, once you start construction, I found it's the best ways to start and finish it the way you planned. Obviously things come up, but like you don't want to be figuring stuff out on the fly.
Correct.
Because that slows your project down, and then like a bathroom that's supposed to take 6 weeks ends up taking 6 months because you guys didn't have the tile in your shipping container.
Right.
And now it's like, okay, we have to stop, pull off your job. They're mad at you because my builder left, but it's like we don't have the tile to finish, kind of thing. Like insert appliances, windows, like that's across the board now. So like your process is actually you're probably operating more successfully than the majority of builders that don't do that right now because of like the material shortages and things like that.
Yeah, and just to keep in mind that the term design build, it's what's kind of hot in our industry right now.
Yeah.
So everyone's trying to jump on that bandwagon and become a quote design build. In my opinion, to be a design build legitimately, you need to have design and production in-house.
Yeah, you can't sub out design.
You can, if you're. There's a company here locally that I'm friends with the owner. I don't know if you know Steve from Freedom.
Freedom Millwork?
No, Freedom.
Oh, Freedom Contracting?
Yeah.
I know.
He's a real good
area.
Dude. I know him from my Nary chapter, but we also work out at down the street here at Cornerstone Fitness.
Okay.
We both go in the morning, so we always, we're always talking shop. He used to outsource, and the reason I'm bringing him up is he used to outsource design, and now he's brought it in-house. And I could tell he's grown his business, and he's more efficient. And the point being is that when you have those, so you can do it outsourced, but if you have it in-house, those departments have offices, and they're actual people, and they have meetings, and they go over projects together, and they look at pictures, and they do on-site surveys, and they, do walkthroughs. So there's a lot more, the segue from design to production is much smoother, and everyone's on the same page.
You're streamlining the process because you're not dealing with somebody else's schedule as a business owner.
Correct.
You have them, like, everybody's paddling in the same direction.
Yes. Yep.
Interesting. I would say that's a fair criteria. Like if you don't have design in-house and you're design build, you're not like a real design builder.
Agreed.
I'm gonna hold true to this. I'm gonna go out and start policing.
Do you have designers on staff?
Not anymore.
No.
No.
You guys made a shift in business model?
We're always shifting. We stay shifting.
Okay. Good shifting, bad shifting?
Both. It's
what's the latest?
It's I guess the latest is kind of trying to, like, we've spent the better part of like 3 or so years scaling heavily.
Mm-hmm.
And then the problem with scaling heavily is you need to establish like your core values right off the bat. And your 3 or 4 core values kind of like dictate your how you're going to like march as a company. So everybody, like if your core values are upheld with everyone at your company, it's very easy to like be like, okay, like this problem came up, our core values are, team first. So like we're having a problem with an employee or something like that. Like, well, are they putting the company first? Like, are they putting the rest of their team first? Like, are they just leaving everybody early at the end of the day? Different things like that.
Right.
So right now, probably the last year, we develop lands and do spec homes.
Mm-hmm.
We do remodels, and then we also have new construction projects, and we don't have enough people.
Right.
So what ends up happening is, things take longer because everyone's spread so thin. Everyone's still doing a really great job, but it's like what you thought you could get done in 6 months is not at all what you get done in 6 months because, like, you need people.
Right.
And, people come
and be careful. You don't want to have them have burnout.
Yeah, burnout's a huge thing, and then you have things in your business like linchpins,
mm-hmm.
where you have someone in your business that plays such a critical role that if they leave, you kind of have to take a step back and feel the vibe out. How far into the show are we right now?
30 minutes.
Okay, so next year, I'm finding a different world to work in, whether I like start back out on my own or go work someplace, or
So you're gonna sell off your partnership?
I'm gonna sell off my part of the partnership. mainly because like where we're at or where we're going, in my opinion, and then in my partner's opinion, like we want different things.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's necessarily like a bad person,
right?
Or there's no like this person stole from me. It's none of that. It's just you realize that.
So let me dig a little bit.
It's like it's not worth the lift if one person wants one. You know, like say somebody wants like I really love the quality and pushing that like attention to detail, which takes more time.
Right.
And then some people want to run.
Do you have a business plan?
Yeah, we have spent a considerable amount of time with like consultants and different like management professionals to like do all that, and that's me.
Okay.
I would say like it's not unfair for me to say like that energy is driven by like my desire to have a vision and a plan. And then other people's styles are much more like let's just get it done.
Right.
And there's not like that's also effective, but it's not what I want to do.
Understood.
So we had to like, we're like, all right, cool. Like we're cool with each other, but it's just like, hey, what could we do differently? And I was like, well, like maybe I just like go do something else. And like, cause like at a certain point, one of us, or what, if you have multiple partners in your company, like somebody's going to be feeling like, I'm holding you back from doing what you want to do. And I'm kind of not happy, or vice versa. It's tough.
Partnerships in general are tough.
Yeah. So like, I appreciate, what we've done as a company. It's enhanced my focus.
How long have you guys been in business?
I've been in business for myself since 2011, and we've been a partnership for, I think, 4 years.
Okay.
So, like, we've had a lot of really great times, but, like, that whole design build conversation, for instance, like,
right.
I want to be design build, whereas, like, my business partner would be very happy not being, not having a face in a business, like being a builder, but like getting the land and like doing the land improvements and then, flipping the land to someone else and making like, he's good at those kinds of deals where it doesn't necessarily require like marketing.
Yeah. I'm more on your side of the, like your perspective kind of lines up more with mine. You ever hear someone say like, you have to slow down to go fast.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, race car mentality. You have to approach the corner right to turn the corner fast. Mm-hmm. And I think that applies in our industry a lot. When you go towards that design build movement and you really go into that structure, I really fully believe that it allows you as a business owner to be able to go faster or, to be able to generate a profitable business without feeling like you're so busy you can't get 5 minutes to take a break.
Yeah. I think what we say is, and it's like a military term, it's fast is slow and slow is fast.
Right.
And what ends up happening is, I'm really into like rules or procedures. Like I don't want to tell you how to do your job, but I want to give you like the
SOPs.
Yeah, like your parameters. Be like, this
standard operating procedures.
That's perfect. Like I want customers treated this way. Like whatever happens, this is how customers are treated, or no less than this. Like you can treat them better, but this is the standard. Or our subcontractors, like, hey, like, if we don't have your insurance, like, and you keep asking me to get paid, but we've been asking you for your insurance for 2 months. Like we have to stay true to like be like, we want to pay you. We don't want to take advantage of you, but like we also need those procedures upheld, or like creating systems where it's like, this is how we're going to do it. We're going to do the daily logs or like the daily notes in the software. Where's your daily logs? Like coming up and making sure that that's getting taken care of and then moving on to the next problems. And it's hard when someone else just has like a system that's very simple. And they don't want to do like all of those rule makings and holding people accountable. They just want to do business. Right. Like, and there's people that are really successful doing it like that, but it's in my style of doing things. Like I really love building teams and building like the community and then like keeping it like juiced up where everybody's like happy to be here. They're excited about what we're doing. What you're supposed to be doing. What I'm supposed to be doing. We're watching each other's backs, but nobody's like overworked because like your focus is just enough.
Right.
For what like So it's been a great learning process the last couple of
That's
years.
a struggle. I think a lot of that revolves around culture. You know, if you want a real team mentality in a company, it has to, the strong basis, the glue has to be the company culture. Because if your company culture is good, then you don't have to tell people to be accountable. They want to be accountable.
Yeah.
Because they're you know, and you understand, like, you ever heard the principal difference between like a family, like a family mentality as far as, or a family culture in a company versus a team culture, where a team culture, everyone has to be accountable for everything. In a family culture, you know, things kind of like bad actions are tolerated, you know, kind of like, and a family like, we'll let,
it's like a family business. Like, it's like
we'll let him get away with it because, you know, it's no big deal, whatever.
It's the boss's son.
He goes out and sells work, but, you know, he doesn't do the paperwork, but it's okay because he brings a check in. Like, no. Everyone's accountable. Everyone has to follow the rules.
I don't think I've ever heard it put that way, but that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and I didn't coin the term or anything like that.
Okay, I was going to give it to you. We were gonna make a clip and make it go viral and just have some sort of public speaker call you out and be like, I invented that. Internet's ruthless. So like your company, what was your company before it was LBK? Like what was it branded, or is that not?
Before like the
name, like what did you name it before you named it LBK?
It was Luxury Bath and Kitchens. That's what the LBK stands for.
Okay.
And when we rebranded, I said, let's just keep the initials kind of as number one. It's a cool backstory, right?
Yeah.
Like
so you didn't change the name completely. You just kind of facelift. Yeah.
Okay. And then just adding Design Build to the end of the initials kind of let everyone know, like, yeah, if you got a home, an addition, not a powder room, but guest bath and master bath, like those kind of fall within our wheelhouse as far as work that we'll take on.
So like how long have you been a business owner?
2014.
That was like when you started out on your own. And before that you were
I had a tough go. I'm originally from New York, like the Brooklyn, Queens area.
Okay.
And I went to college in the City University of New York system, like the CUNY system. And by the end of my third year, you know, I'm shot. I'm working as a full-time construction worker during the day and then taking night school. And I'm going into night class, and the professor's like asking questions about the homework reading from the previous day. And people are like asking like really dumb questions that were explained in the chapter.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the hell am I doing here? Like, these people coming into school in pajamas and flip-flops. I just worked an 8-hour shift. You know, I'm clean. I took a shower. I'm ready to go here. And I started getting annoyed, and I started thinking, you know, I started getting more cynical about the whole thing. And I said, I was going to school for engineering. Like, I don't want to be in a cubicle. No offense to engineers. I don't want to be stuck in a cubicle for the rest of my life, drawing out stuff and speccing stuff out. I think I get bored with that. But I really liked working with designers, architects, clients, seeing these big visions come together and people being impressed by it and wowed by it, looking at the quality of the workmanship. I said, I think I want to be in the construction field, you know, for my career. And that's kind of what led me down the path of being in the career that I am in today. But I moved out 2007 to the Bucks County area.
Okay.
My parents started a business, and I partnered into that business with them to kind of help them out. My dad's a salesman. He's been a salesman his whole life. And he'd go out and sell work. I'd help him produce it. But their company was never really profitable.
It was construction as well?
It wasn't. He bought an acrylic franchise, kind of like bath fitter.
Okay.
Rebath.
Yeah. And
the business model, percentage-wise and margin-wise, it works. It's very profitable, but it's very hard to compete with a household name like Bath Fitter, or, you know, I don't know if it's as popular as it was before, but
I think Bath Fitter is still a big deal.
Yeah.
I've never done one of those, but I see, like, if you drive up and down 95 to Philly, I guarantee you see the billboards and stuff like that. So if somebody's paying for billboards, they're probably doing okay.
Yeah.
That's probably not,
so.
That's not sound science, but.
No, yeah, I hope so.
I hope so.
So we did that from 2007 to 2013. And I never got a paycheck. I was always broke. 29 years old, and I'm starting to argue with my parents about this. I'm like, I can't do this shit anymore. Like, I got bills to pay. I have no money. And my wife's like, hey, I'm pregnant. So
oh, geez.
So now we're having a baby. And then my mom gets sick. She gets cancer.
Okay.
And while all this is happening, I'm thinking, I'm going to start my own business. So I take on a job. I sell my first job, and it was like a first floor remodel, redesign the floor plan a little bit, kitchen, mud room.
And how did you get that?
He reached out to us because of the acrylic stuff. And my dad was like, no, we don't do that big construction stuff. We only do these things. And I'm like,
You're like in the
I'm in the background. Finger up in the air. Hey, right here.
We do that now.
So there was a cabinet company we were buying cabinets from. They used to be called Armstrong Cabinets. They're called Echelon now.
Okay.
And the local territory manager, if you gave him measurements, he'd design up space for you to sell you the cabinets. And that's what I did. So, just to make a long story short, we designed it out, sold the project. About a week before completion, my mom's doing really, really bad. And within like a week or two of finishing the project, she dies. And we have no money. But I had this job, and I made a profit on it. And I was able to take that profit and then pay for the funeral, pay for the casket, pay for all the services.
Yeah.
And when we were done and wrapped up with that, and all that dust kind of settled, because I don't even remember that time, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It was so crazy. It was just like, Mom died, go to funeral, go back to work. Mortgage company doesn't care. Hurry up. And I had a meeting, an impromptu meeting with my dad in my office, and I said, in our office, and I said, hey, I can't do this anymore. I understand, like, you like this business model, whatever. I can't do it. I don't make any money. I'm going back to construction. And he's like, well, I don't want to do this. I can't do this by myself. My mom kind of did all the bookkeeping and whatnot. And I did a lot of the installs. So he said, I'll tag along with you. So my dad's kind of like, he's not really a business partner, but he's still around in our company. And that's kind of how I got started in 2014 with LBK.
Okay, well, that's a wild journey.
I'm glazing over it. There's a lot more details I don't want to get into.
I'm sure.
But I love my dad. He means really well. I don't think he's just the most business. I'm sure you met people that aren't business savvy.
There's some people that are really good. I have a buddy who, I forget what he did before he was a realtor, but he was not successful at it.
Yeah.
It was something with paperwork and, emails and doing TPS reports or whatever. And he was just terrible at it. And then he became a realtor, and he became a realtor at a place that, like, they had, clerical staff already. So, like, his paperwork was covered. He was, got that off his plate, found out he could communicate through email successfully as a human being, and, like, dialed himself in. But he was always an amazing salesman, even when we were young kids. Like, he could convince an entire group of people to pretty much do anything.
That's my dad.
Yeah. So he's now making probably conservatively $1 million a year selling real estate as like a young 30s. And I'm like, dude, I said to him one time, I was like, dude, I never thought you were ever going to, like, I was worried about you for a while there. And, like, he's like, yeah. What? I'm like, do you ever think about, like, why this all happened? And now as, like, an adult with, like, kids, he's like, yeah, I got all the stuff off my plate that I'm not good at. I'm like, that's wild that, like, somebody's life, like, his life changed in 3 or 4 years from, like, the lowest level to next thing you know is at the top. And I was like,
awesome.
So that made me realize that there are certain people, like, I was always the type of person that, say, we'll go back to the carpenter thing. Like, somebody could be an amazing carpenter. And, like, when I was in my 20s running a business, like, I'd be like, oh, that guy's an amazing carpenter. Like, he'll make a great project manager. And that's just not the case. Someone that's, a really talented carpenter might not, like, they have the tangible skills of, like, making something, but they might not have the leadership components or the communication components to, like, be a project manager. So you want to make that jump up to project management. You have to think about, like, what your tool belt looks like.
Yeah, my experience, and I think a lot of people in leadership positions in our industry would agree, most carpenters do not make good project managers.
Yeah, it's not a rare thing. I know a lot.
I don't know why. I wish they did. I really do, because they understand it. But it's not like you could take someone who doesn't have any construction knowledge and you could turn them into a phenomenal project manager, because like you put them in the position, you kind of train them. Like, I get it, on time, on budget, happy client, cool. And then you take a carpenter and they're like, oh, well, and they get too far into the details on the other side.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, dude, you don't I understand that, but you got to talk to the customer. Did you have a meeting with them? Let them know. Oh no, I didn't do that yet. Yeah. That's where it's important.
But like those guys are selling work inadvertently because they're so good at carpentry. People want to work with them.
Right.
They're kind of like an artist in a way. Like you're gonna get like that weird interaction with them, but your wainscoting is gonna look amazing.
But those are the guys that people get annoyed with.
Yeah.
Clients, because they're like, oh, they're booked out for like a year and a half. Yeah, that happens. They're not good at scaling, but they're good at, craftsmanship.
Yeah. It's hard to be really good at something. I find that a lot of, especially carpenters, we're ragging on carpenters today. I'm
one of them, by the way.
I used to be a carpenter too.
I'm a long life carpenter. I still build stuff. My desk in my office I just built a few months ago, and I'm subject to that same stereotype that I kind of went over, because I became a design build out of pain.
And did you have to like fight off some of those instincts, like when your carpentry instincts?
Absolutely.
Like I got to go for perfection here. It's like, no, we got to go with like, we got to take care of this email. Like, no, it's like this email doesn't need a paragraph. It just needs a couple of words. Like,
well, what you had mentioned earlier happened to me. Like I started my own construction business.
Yeah.
People were like, oh, that guy's really good. You should hire him. And all of a sudden I'm really busy. And I'm like, wait a minute. I wonder if my prices are too good. And so looking at the financials, I'm like, yeah, definitely prices are too good not for me, for everyone else.
Yeah.
And then you start increasing your prices and you get busier, and you're like, well, shit, I can't answer the phones and pay the bills and take out the trash. And now I got to hire someone to do that. I'm like, it'd be even cooler if this could go faster. If we had a showroom and we had designers on staff, and then you start bringing on design, like, and you start doing design, like, well, our process isn't that great. So let's fix that. And it's, that's what I mean out of pain.
It's constant improvement. Like,
I wasn't like an MBA that was like, I want to own a design build business. Let me write out this business plan and get working. It's like totally the opposite.
I say that to people all the time. Like, people be like, oh, you made like a huge change in like whatever area. And I'm like, yeah, I felt like I had no choice. And they're like, yeah, but you made the choice. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't see it that way. Like, I was either going to stay there and suffer, or, stop suffering and just fix whatever was like causing that problem.
It happens with process in the business. It happens with staff. Like there's staff you'll have on board when you're a small little company doing $1 or $2 million, and then you're doing $5 or $10 million, and those people that you had don't want to be a part of that. They want to be part of that small company. And it's about, there's a term where you say that you have to have the right people on the bus. So everyone has to know, as far as business plans concerned, it's really good to let your team know, what direction you're going in with the bus, and whether or not they want to be a part of it.
Yeah, right people, right seats, kind of thing.
You had mentioned earlier, you were talking about having a linchpin, right? Well, you got to make sure that linchpin is going to be comfortable down the road, because if that person isn't, we need to get something in place to have, to be ready for that.
It's true. It's very true. Did you ever hire outside help or like advisors to like help you do any of this, or was this a lot of like your own path in learning how to be a good operator?
I tried once back in, I want to say 2015, and the dude was, I met this guy through a business networking group, and he's a business consultant, in air quotes.
A coach.
And totally full of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, all right, so what can I do about this process, that process? And he totally went off on this long tangent about tracking gas mileage, and I'm like, dude, we got such bigger problems right here that we need to address. And I was just like, and he sent me a bill for like $1,000, and my wife's like, I'm not gonna pay this ass. He didn't do shit. Yeah. I was like, you know what? Give him the $1,000. Never call him again. Case closed. Done. Go to a restaurant. Have a bad steak. Don't go there again. Just go away. Pay the bill. Walk away.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. The best move was going into that group I had mentioned at the beginning when I talked about Remodeler's Advantage, because they have things structured in a way where if you're coming in as someone who started your business in our industry as a carpenter, dude, your jaw will be on the floor and your eyes will be that big around.
Yeah.
Because you'll realize they're going to show you how you're not tracking things correctly financially, how your structure isn't set up right. Not that it's not set up right, but
how it can be improved.
They'll show you a way that, and you'll meet successful people in the industry, and they're going to be very positive and supportive, and they become your group of advisors. And I have cell phone numbers of people in our industry that do $20-30 million a year plus in remodeling, builders that do more than that, that I can call up at any time, be like, hey man,
how do you handle
this? Yeah, I have this issue. What do you think? Or I'm hiring a new position, and this kind of went down in the interview. I'm not sure. I really like the person. I'm like, zoom me in. Yeah, zoom me in on an interview with them, and they'll jump in and kind of give it's been invaluable to me and my business and my career.
That's awesome
for sure. And if you're gonna stay in the building industry,
yeah. Oh no, I wrote that down in the back of my mind.
You need to look into that group.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to plug them or whatever the case is. I don't get any money from them.
Yeah, I was gonna find out if you get like a case of beer.
No, I pay them to be a member, and it's a good investment.
Yeah.
Worth every penny because you get it all back and then some. But if you're looking to improve and rub shoulders with the best of the best, the 1% in our industry, you want to be there for sure.
Cool. I appreciate that. When do you, I guess we'll wrap it up. Like, when do you expect the design offices to be like all finished, or like the design, I don't want to say offices, like the design studio?
Thanks for asking. We plan on having like a grand opening type event.
Okay.
Sometime in April.
Nice.
I forget, do you know where the official date is?
So it's April 22nd is the Target open. Okay.
I think, aren't we doing also like a donation sponsorship also?
Yeah, that's what's with the race.
Okay. Nice.
Okay. Yeah.
So we'll have to, like, when you guys get closer to that, you'll have to send us some stuff to plug out there.
We're gonna close up all the windows. It's gonna be like.
It's gonna be a big reveal.
So today I sent Alice an email. I said I want to get one more banner up and then white out the other windows, because I want to do like a kind of like a nice little before and after effect.
Yeah. I hope this doesn't happen, but it'd be kind of funny if it did. If people start getting in like rear-ended and getting car accidents there, you'll know you have a good like thing going, because people are paying attention to your showroom more than they're driving.
I claim no responsibility in advance.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that is such a good location, because you're not like in town,
right?
But you're not like, you're right before Peddler's Village.
So far alone, and then every Saturday and Sunday Peddler's Village is the third most visited attraction in the Philadelphia area, in the greater area.
Oh yeah, I believe it. Every time I drive past there on the weekend, I literally we were supposed to go to or you went to anniversary party for Tom's barbecue place. My brother and I pulled up, and there was so much traffic that we literally just turned around and left.
It's insane.
I was like, Peddler's Village just doing something here.
Every Saturday and Sunday, if I'm at the office there and I look out it's just backed up traffic all the way down.
Yeah.
But we'll send. We're inviting industry partners.
Okay, cool.
And whatnot to our event, because we're gonna have lots of food, drinks, and whatnot. So we'll invite you guys out too.
No, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. And thanks for coming and hanging out with us.
Yeah, man,
I feel
my
like
pleasure.
We had a good conversation here. I'm definitely gonna have to talk to you a little bit more later about the Remodeler's Advantage. And
I'll talk to you about it off air for sure.
Kick some other stuff around. Do we have anything else going on? We're good. I'm just gonna end the show.
Hey, we could just end it now.
Yeah, dude. This is No Prisoners podcast.
Where can we find them at?
Yeah, we're gonna find them at LBK Design Build on Instagram, or lbkdesignbuild.com. Which is, it's awesome that you were able to lock down like the branding across the board.
Nailed it.
Crushed it. Yeah. So is that like the best place online, or like Instagram? People can reach out to you and then start the process.
Instagram, Facebook. Like we use Calendly to book all our stuff and appointments and whatnot, phone calls, whatever the case may be. So you can find us either social media or website.
All right, dude, check them out. They sound awesome to work with. So we'll definitely be letting people know. This is No Prisoners podcast. Subscribe, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. We're there. This was Nick, Andrew, Gilmar, Allison in the background, and of course Rambo. Thanks for listening.